Okay, Pam, are we ready? All right.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heidi, and I manage the Hope series here at UCLA Arts and Healing. And this program is presented as part of our free Hope series, Healing Online for People Everywhere, which we created to support the resilience of our global community through social emotional arts. Today's program is in a meeting format, so please keep yourself muted until prompted otherwise. We suggest you stay on gallery view throughout the session. To help with efficiency, please raise your digital hand when prompted for questions and comments. If you have the latest version of Zoom installed, the raise hand button is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen under reactions. You can also find it by clicking on the participants button at the bottom, and then in that window, click raise hand. So we would like to begin today by acknowledging the Tongva Nation, on whose land the city of Los Angeles, where we are based, rests today. We hold respect and gratitude for the Tongva people who still consider themselves the caretakers of this land. By their example, we are reminded of our responsibility to our planet and to one another. Let's take a moment in our own way to honor the Indigenous communities of past and present on whose land you are joining from today. So I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Pam Modeste. Pamela is a registered drama therapist who discovered her passion for the healing quality of theater techniques not long after working with the New Freedom Theater in Philadelphia, following her undergraduate education at State University of New York, Albany. She developed a love for community through her experience utilizing drama as a therapeutic tool in shelters, churches, revitalization events, nursing homes, summer programs, and more. Her love for healing, theater, and community led her to obtain her credentials as a registered drama therapist and to complete a master's in behavioral health psychology. Currently, she is the CEO of the Scene Drama Works Incorporated, a nonprofit organization equipping the community with tools for healing, resilience, embracing differences, and mutual support. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Pam.
Thank you, Heidi. And welcome, everybody. Of course, I am delighted to contribute to the UCLA Arts and Healing Hope series, and definitely delighted to see all of you. And thank you for sharing your time with me. And I'm looking forward to us learning together. So let's go ahead and get started with our agenda for today. And today, we're going to talk about self-identity versus social identity. And we're going to use mask making to help us explore and understand our identities, as well as managing and facilitating healing when our identities experience social pain. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we are all connected and need that sense of belonging, which is vital. It's a vital part to our well-being. And the reason why we hurt so much when social contracts are broken and how our identities are affected. Also, we will find agency, resilience, and self-acceptance in the face of conflicting identities and social pain through transpersonal meditation and exercise. So also, lastly, there will be some time for Q&A. So let's get started. Let's get right into our warm-up exercise. So good to see everybody. Okay, so as with any activity in this workshop, you can choose not to participate if you like. You can participate via chat or fully participate on screen. So let's get started. I would like you to choose any object in the space where you are that represents something that you would like to share about yourself. Okay. I am going to start first. I have a pen here, and this pen represents my creativity. So I'm a very creative person. And it also reminds me that I can write my own stories. And it reminds me that I have a choice of how I'd like to respond to the world or respond to life events. So, is there anyone else that would like to share their item that they chose and what it represents about them? Just raise your hand. It's nice to get to know a little bit about each other. If not, that's fine. You can also participate in the chat.
Camille, I see your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Camille Appling. I work in a couple of different nonprofits here in San Diego. My primary project is working on community education for depression treatment. And I wanted to share with you guys something that I created with my son. And so it means a lot to us. He skates. And so this is a skateboard cross. We're both Christian. And we made it together. We painted it gold, put it together. And it's really important that we're very open to other people's belief systems and how they do things, but he's a skateboarder and we skate the Christian way. And so I just wanted to share that because that's really what we're about here.
Thanks so much, Camille. I appreciate that. It's really cool. And Hola?
Hi, my name is Hala, and I'm an artist, and I just have this shirt, I guess. And for me, my life passion is about helping people find their true self. I feel like she kind of made a statement in her life, being who she is, and going through so much trauma and coming out as a beautiful person who made art that, you know, really helped speak to other people as well.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Yeah, Camille.
I'm sorry, I meant to undo my hand, so I'm not sure how to do that, but I'll figure it out. Let's see.
Okay.
It's
no
okay,
worries.
So I already went. Thank you. Oh, and you were saying, Camille. I mean, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, Camille. I was just commenting.
Too.
I never run into other Camille's, so how nice to meet you. So what's near me, I could get so many things, but what's near me, I don't know if you can see it, is a lingam that was given to me as a gift. And what I love about the lingam is it's so many different stones that have been, they're in the Ganges River, and they just tumble and tumble and tumble. And finally, they become one with all of this design, and they're smooth. And so for me, it represents all patience, taking in so many things, edges, and also other people's edges. And in my work also to both find the wholeness for myself and also to help others find the wholeness within them. So that's why I like this little lingam.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Nora, you have your hand raised. Oh, you have to put your mic.
Yeah, I found that the closest thing to take me close to the longing for paradise, which might never come, is creating my own paradise on earth. So gardening gives me a lot of pleasure among other parts of me. And I wish you were here for me to share the fragrance of it all.
Oh, I'm sure it's beautiful. I'm sure it's beautiful. Well, thank you everybody for sharing. Is there anyone that I can't see, that anyone else that would like to share? We're all good. We can move on.
Yeah, it looks like we have two more people.
Okay.
we have Valerie, and then we have Joe. So we can go in that order.
Okay, Valerie.
Hi.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi. I'm Valerie from Edmonton, Canada. And, you know, you asked us to choose something, I'm drinking my tea out of an old country rose design mug. And although I'm very glad to have this mug now, when I was a kid, my mom started collecting this pattern. And I thought, geez, how boring is that to have, you know? And now I'm just so grateful that I have it because it reminds me of her and kind of that old-fashioned feel. So, and I'm happy to be here and meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, happy to meet you too. And Joe.
Hi, great to be here. And the first thing that's the closest to me is this picture of myself when I was, I don't know, like 3 years old. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, maybe something.
Oh, yes, I can see it.
So this was just from another workshop that we were supposed to put a picture of ourselves from a long time ago in a frame. And it behooves me to, I spend so much time trying to just forget about the past and on, and it just behooves me to just stay connected with my younger self. And so that's why little Joe is right next to me. Thanks. Good to be here.
That's a great idea. A great idea. All right. So it is so great getting to know you guys a little bit better, and your connection to things in your own space. So let's move on. Let's see here. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is I'd like to talk a little bit about connection and belonging, as this is very much related to our topic today. And you'll see why as we move on in the session. So for the most part, we have grown to believe in the illusion that we are separate from each other and separate from the trees and the seas and even separate from the earth, when in fact, the human body and the planet Earth are made from the same elements. Now, remember the elements of the periodic table, the same thing. So we also share 97% of our atoms in common with the rest of the galaxy, which says that we're made of the same elements as stardust. So how incredible is that? And also seemingly we go about our separate lives, but share the same unified consciousness. And words, and I know you all know about this, that words that we say to each other have the power to make or break our day and touch each other like a domino effect. And we are also connected on a subatomic level. It's all energy. And of course, we are socially connected. Our brains are wired to connect with other people. And we need that sense of belonging, which is essential to our well-being. So when social contracts are broken, there is no wonder why it hurts so bad, because we are so connected. And how is this related to our self-identity and social identities? Well, because our identities are influenced by one another, by society, by groups and communities. How we feel about ourselves, how we see ourselves, our behaviors and social roles. We are products of our environment. And without saying too much at the moment, with such a connection, is there any wonder why we hurt so much when our inner selves are in conflict with the part of us that is categorized and attached to the social roles that we must play out every day? Or when our inner selves are in conflict with the parts of us that are categorized and stereotyped? And you'll see how this information is beneficial to struggles with identity as we move forward in the workshop today. So with that said, now we're going to start our mask making to help us develop an awareness of our identities in order to help us manage our related struggles along with appreciating who we are. So let's just delve in and explore our identities, all of our challenges and joys that come along with it. But before we do that, just a few instructions about creating your mask. So we're going to need one paper plate, a sheet of paper to make a hat, and we're going to actually put our social roles on the hat. Art supplies like glue and colored paper, markers or paint or whatever medium that you would like to work with. We will be using both sides of the paper plate. One side is self-identity and one side will be the social identity and social roles. So please be as creative as you like. You can use words, pictures, symbols, objects, etc. And use as little or as much information according to your comfort level. Now, I want to say this before we move on also. Because of limited time and this virtual platform, we may not be able to complete our mask, but this workshop gives you instruction and information and concepts to finish them sometime after the session. And I'll also have instructions for you to continue with your mask after the session. So now let's get started with the self-identity side of our mask. And this mask is about who you are inside. Now, some questions to ask yourself to find or describe your self-identity, your personal identity are, what are some things about your individual personality? Maybe you're funny, maybe you're curious, smart. Are you a procrastinator? Or maybe you're assertive, shy, confident, loud, introvert, and so on. Maybe you're organized or flexible. What are your values and beliefs? What things do you care about and what are you interested in? What did you like as a child and still like to do? And what are your talents? What are your hobbies? What regrets might you have? What are your pet peeves? What inspires you? What excites you? What are your wants, your needs, your hopes, and your dreams? And how do you respond or interact with the world? Maybe you're cooperative or open-minded or argumentative or negotiable. So, and also what things make you feel at home in your own skin. So now, earlier I mentioned that we are connected, and we are, but that doesn't mean that we don't have separate identities. We each have our own individual identities, yet we are still connected to each other. So I just don't want anyone to be confused by that. So let's go ahead and get started with our mask. And if you have any questions at all about creating your mask, just ask. I'm right here. And hopefully you have all the tools that you need right there to get started. So we'll have about 5 minutes or so. And yeah, either I or Heidi will let you know when you have about a minute left. Okay. So get started and enjoy yourself. Explore. and become more familiar with your identities. And remember, don't worry if you can't finish that side. You'll be able to do it later. And remember, you don't have to use all words. They could be symbols. You can cut out pictures from magazines.
Pam, we have a question in the chat.
Yes.
Would you recommend writing out some of our answers on a separate sheet of paper or just going for the mask?
Yeah, just write it on the mask. What are your self-identities? Write it on the mask, or if you don't want to write the word, you can actually use a symbol to represent that item of your mask, or cut out a picture from a magazine. The important thing is that you know what it is. So I hope I answered your question. And if you can see my mask, I'll give you an example. I have a flower here that I made that I stapled onto my mask just to represent my love for nature. I have a symbol, a spiral in the middle here, which represents that I am part of the universe and the universe is part of me. I have feathers to represent my working on connection, things like that. And I do also have some words. I can be suspicious of people. I'm calm, responsible. Yeah, so that's just an example. Just be as creative as you like.
Could you please put back the prompt that you have?
Sure.
Thank you. No, the thing, the writing.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And there's about a minute left.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So I know it seems like we just got started, but we have about a minute left. A few seconds. Actually, I'll give you 1 extra minute. All right. So I know that wasn't nearly enough time, but we have to go with what we have right now. So may I have a volunteer who would like to show their mask and share what it represents? Now, you can share as much or as little as you like. So I'll just have one volunteer because there's so much that we have to cover. So I know I can't see everybody if somebody's hand is raised. So Heidi, do you see anyone with their hand raised that would like to share their mask?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I can share.
Oh, thank you.
You guys hear me? Okay. It's a simple one. So
okay.
It's the background is blue because blue is my favorite color. I put a lot of plants or leaf there because I love nature, and also I think they represent growth, and I think growth is important in any stage of life. The hearts is representing love and caring and relationship, like people that we know in life. Yeah. And then the little yellow hat there, it's like optimism, like a positive outlook to a life. And the eyes, it's like curiosity or just like seeing things and exploring. So that's my mask.
Yes, nice, very creative, very creative. Okay, so I would love to see everybody else's mask, but we only have so much time. Now what I would like us to do is on the, let me see, maybe, okay. I'd like us to all celebrate who we are, or celebrate who you are inside. So that would be the good, the bad, and the not so cute by doing a pose on the count of 3. Now you can choose one of your identities that you want to represent on your mask with the pose, and you have the option to do your pose with your mask or without your mask. Okay, so on the count of 3, where's my mask? If you want to, let's all hold up our mask. Okay, I'm sorry, do a pose with your mask. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. You can stand up or you can sit down, and okay, great. Now, when you're ready to take this pose into a movement. So what we're doing is we're taking the identity from inside of ourselves and from off the mask and putting some energy into this space of celebration, you know, just celebrate your identity, right? So the love, celebration, you know, things you love about yourself. Okay, nice. All right. Wonderful. And then, you know, you can wind it down. Wonderful. Because it's so important to celebrate who we are and where we are right now, right? So let's give ourselves a hand, all right? Because as we explore our identities, it's important to appreciate where you are and your personal growth, and where you are, your self-worth in the forefront. So let's give ourselves a hand and celebrate who we are, okay? All right, beautiful. Okay, so now, let's see, now that we know a little bit more about our self-identities and who we are inside, let's go on to social identities. So we're going to create the social identity parts of our mask. So we're going to use the other side of the paper plate. Humans love to categorize in order to understand and make life easier and more manageable. Now, social identities are those that categorize us into groups, which can have positive outcomes such as cultural competency, understanding, appreciating a particular group, finding a sense of belonging, and effectively assessing needs to better serve that group. There are also some downsides, which many have experienced, such as how power and resources are distributed, or the existence of prejudice or stereotypes and dehumanization. And as a result, there is a need for things like inclusion, equality, diversity, cultural equity, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. So as we create the social identity part of our mask, things that relate to ourselves as part of society, some questions to ask yourself concerning your social identity are listed on the screen. So these are things that people often see first before they even have a clue of who we really are inside. So these are things like your age, what is your religion, what is your disability status, or what are your abilities? What is your gender? What is your national origin or ethnicity? What language or languages do you speak? What is your sexual orientation, your social economic status? What is your social party? And of course, whatever you don't feel comfortable with sharing, you don't have to. This is for your healing and comfort, and I don't want to hinder that in any way. So we'll have about, maybe 6 or 7 minutes to complete this part of our mask. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask or put it in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. All right, so the instructions are pretty much the same, just be as creative as you like. It's so interesting how people see these things first before they even realize who we are. But then as we express ourselves, we let the world know the beautiful people that we are.
About a minute left.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, the time is going by so fast. Okay, so it looks like our time is up, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying making your mask. And please know, I have to say it again, that you can finish this when the session is over. I want to move on to social roles. Now, we're going to get the opportunity to share some more in a bit, but let's first move on to social roles. Okay, so another part of social identity are your social roles, your contributions to society, your responsibilities, or what others may expect of you. There are many social roles, but some examples are listed on the screen, such as a parent, a project manager, a judge, a gambler, a hero, a warrior, a student, you know, and there are many more. Those are just a few examples. So right now, please take a piece of paper and draw a hat. And then after you draw it, cut it out, and then list your social roles or add things that represent your social role. Okay, so you can go ahead and get started. And I'll just give you an example. Well, this is my hat that I cut out on a piece of paper, and then I drew things that represented my social roles. Okay, and you can do the same thing, or you can write words. So one of my social roles is a friend. I'm a wife, I'm a therapist. I have a mother and child because I'm a parent. And I'm an observer and a student. So, and of course, you can be as creative as you want with your hat. You can make your hat look any way you desire. Use your imagination and be as creative as you want. And when we finish adding our identities to the hats, we're gonna place them on top of our mask and do some comparisons. But please do not staple or glue your hats onto your masks for this session, okay? And as you're working, I just wanna say a few more things about social roles. So some social roles are appointed, some are given to you, some are forced on you. Some social roles are welcomed, and some are chosen by you. There are other social role examples, such as a neighbor, a rescuer, an airplane pilot, a poet, a rebel, a king or queen of a household. And you might have a social identity that falls under the umbrella of a particular type of social role. Like, for example, protector. Under the umbrella of protector, there could be a policeman or policewoman, maybe older sibling. Older sibling can be a protector, a school crossing guard, a lawyer, or a judge. So I'm guessing we have maybe about 3 more minutes, something like that, Heidi.
That's exactly what we have.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give a minute notice again.
Okay.
Just about a minute left, Pam.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so this part of the creative process is going to have to come to an end. So if you'd like to share your hat, please just raise it up on the screen so we can see how creative everybody is. If you'd like to share what it looks like. I'm curious to see, you know, the shapes of our hats. Okay, so we're gonna have to move on. Oh, I see. Thank you, Ping. Anybody else want to share? Nice. Very creative. Very creative. Okay, wonderful. So let's take a minute to look at yourself as your social identity and social roles, the things that you wrote down or the things that you put on one side of the mask and the one that you put on your hat. And look at them with compassion and love and understanding and no judgment. Appreciate and embrace all that your social identities entail. And it's interesting to put your social roles against your social identities. So take a look at that also and see what you discover. So like, for example, I want to use my mask. So I'm going to give you an example of putting your social identities against your social roles. So one of my social identities, as you can see, the gray paper on my right eye, and this is to represent one of my my social identities, which is disability or abilities, because it's my lazy eye, right? And so I'm going to choose that for the example. And on my hat, you see that I have friend written down there. So this is, I'll come further away so you can see this. So I'm going to do a comparison here. So let's take my lazy eye, the disability, and friendship. So let's say I have a friend who feels very confident in our relationship and feels very comfortable confiding in me. And the reason they feel comfortable confiding in me is because they too have some type of disability, and they believe that I can understand them and really see who they are because of my disability. And then on the other hand, so that's something that's in agreement. And something that may conflict between the two is maybe I have Or maybe I want to be a friend to somebody, but they don't want to be a friend with me because they're very superficial and vain, and I have a visible disability, so they don't want to be seen with anybody who they consider as flawed. So that's just something to consider and compare, just to give you an idea of how to explore and go a little bit deeper. So the next thing I would like to do is, on the count of 3, let's all put on our mask to exercise an awareness. And of course, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. All right. So on the count of 3, just put on your mask. All right. And I want you to think about something as you're doing this. Observe yourself as an individual, and then observe yourself as part of the whole community in this sea of masks. Okay. So I notice we're not holding up our mask, which is fine. But just imagine, okay. So just imagine that everybody has their mask on, all right? Or think about these questions that I'm going to pose to you, okay? So think about how you feel behind your mask, right? And do you feel like a sense of belonging? If everybody had their mask on, do you feel a sense of belonging? Do you feel like hiding behind your mask? Are you comfortable with who you are inside? What is your inside saying to your outside? And if you were to step from, like, I have my mask on, my social mask, right? If I were to come from behind my mask, would I feel vulnerable with who I am inside? So those are just some questions to think about. There's so much, there's so much, and we just don't have time. But so we just compared social roles and versus social identities. And now I want to say a few things about comparing self-identities with social identities and roles. All right. So when we look at both who we are inside versus social selves, what things agree, conflict, or connect in some way? So who are we inside versus social identity? Let's use that first example. So let's say this person chooses funny as who they are inside versus age, which is a social identity. So when considering something in agreement between the two, this person may say, now I make jokes about being in my sunset years, as opposed to when they were a teenager. And when considering something in conflict between funny and age, this person may say, sometimes I forget the joke, or my timing is off. Or when considering something that's in connection, this person may say, at this age, when my body gives up on me, I still have some sense of humor. So they're comforted by that. Now I want to say something about intersectionality. That's very important here. So what it is the overlapping and interconnecting of social identity categories such as the race, sexual orientation, and social economic status of an individual or group that impacts and further complicates experienced prejudice, discrimination, and disadvantages. So our social identities do not exist independently of each other. Intersectionality is not about adding one aspect of identity to another. It's about how people with overlapping identities experience systems of power, how they are treated, and the challenges that it raises for them. And for example, for someone who is gay and disabled, there are particular challenges because they're gay. And there are particular challenges because they are disabled. But there is a third identity, being a disabled gay person or a gay disabled person. So being a person who is gay with a disability has a whole new third set of challenges as opposed to being a straight person with a visible disability or a gay person with an invisible disability. So, and also it's possible for intersectional identities to include experiences of privilege and experiences of oppression at the same time. So how do your social identities overlap? And what were your unique experiences as a result? Just something to think about. And can our various identities coexist peacefully? Can they be blended and embraced as they make up the complex you, your joys, your challenges, your concerns, your fears, and your comfort zones? And again, there's so much to explore here, but we have to move on. And I want to move on to social cohesion. And I'll get to why that's important. It all relates. And I know that you guys may have some questions. We have a lot to go over, but you'll be able to ask questions afterwards. So, social cohesion. Remember that earlier we went over how much we are connected to each other and the environment. Now, in relation, I'd like to mention how our identities are affected when social matters interfere with our sense of belonging, respect, fair treatment. Our inner selves, social categories, and social roles are very much entangled to our society, the collective consciousness, what we think about each other, and how we treat each other. And because we're so connected, the absence of things like cultural equity, inclusion, diversity, equality, and acceptance of our identity affects our well-being and how we function. These are all very much a part of social cohesion. And the importance of mentioning social cohesion here is because I want you to know that the struggles we have with our identity do not exist in a vacuum. That while, yes, it is our responsibility to manage our struggles, embrace and love who we are, society still has a vital role in respecting everyone's identities, inviting all to the table, listening to unique experiences and perspectives, allowing space for all points of view, and making all feel a sense of belonging while supporting well-being. So we all play a role in each other's well-being. So with that said, the definition of social cohesion can be described as a set of shared values and actions that form trust, belongingness, and social capital. it allows society to function effectively. Maintaining belongingness or the feelings of social connection with others is a fundamental human need. Social participation and social cohesion in our communities are positively associated with the health and with our health and well-being. So I'd like to list some things that play a part of social cohesion. And my reason for explaining these is because the definitions may have some overlap and can sometimes seem to be the same thing, but they're not. So the first one is identity in the social sense, which is the compilation of identifying labels that you, society, or a system uses to identify yourself. This also gives a sense of belonging or where you fit in the social world based on the sameness of others and placed in a group or category. These labels refer to our identity by gender, sexual orientation, age, nationality, race, disabilities, religion, social economic status, language, your political party. So next is diversity, which is the presence of differences coexisting in the same space. For example, in a group, you may find the presence of varying backgrounds, lifestyles, life experiences, or the presence of various abilities or disabilities, ages, races, sexual orientations, etc. And then next we have inclusion. Now, this involves social activities, but it also asks the question, who has a seat at the table? Inclusion is about how underrepresented identities are a part of partaking in the fact that they belong and therefore feel a sense of belonging through sitting at the table, contributing to, advocating, and participating in the decision-making process. Next, we have equality. So, and that's simply being treated equally or the same despite our identities. And then we have finally cultural equity. So this embodies the values, practices, and public policies to ensure that everyone has the same access to opportunities and the fair distribution of programmatic, financial, and informational resources. And this accounts for the unequal starting points, unfair treatment, systemic racism, and levels of imbalances. So I know you may have some questions, but please put them in the chat or hold on to them until we get to the Q&A. But I felt those are important. Yeah.
Pam, I do want to let the group know that we do have a handout with these pieces of the presentation that we will send after that has these definitions and text to provide to them.
Oh, great. Thanks for that reminder. Okay. So our social identity, inner self, personality, and social self are affected by the absence of these terms that I just mentioned about social cohesion. And the absence of those things can produce broken social contracts, which produce social pain. So let's talk a little bit about social pain. And this is all connected to struggles with our identity. According to McDonald and Jensen Campbell, social pain is the negative emotional state that arises from social injuries from things such as feeling excluded, rejected from individuals and social groups, bullying, or deep loss. And research now shows that social pain results from the activation of certain components in physical pain systems. In other words, the social pain system is linked to the physical pain system. So just as severely physical pain can occur, so can emotional pain. And behind our social roles and social identities, in response to a broken social contract, our inner selves can feel ashamed and angry, confused, and vulnerable about why we were rejected, excluded, or suffered a loss. So please, please understand that your social pain is real. It is just as real as physical pain, and it has to be processed or healed just like physical pain. And social pain can occur when social contracts are broken because it leaves us feeling rejected, excluded, bullied, devalued, or experiencing a loss. So for example, when who we are inside is rejected, when what our social roles have to offer society is devalued, or when our social identities are not invited to the table. So self-identity is very much connected to how we each face challenging social situations. How is something within your self-identity agreeing with or conflicting with your social identity or roles? And how are your social identities and roles affected by your social situations? So in the face of broken social contracts, this process of discovering, challenging, and reconstituting the self and reflexivity can often be painful. And intersectionality is also something to consider here. So just a question, not for you to answer, but just something for you to think about. How would the absence of diversity, inclusion, equality, or cultural equity bring about a feeling of being bullied, experiencing a loss, or feeling rejected or excluded? And I have an example, which let's take someone in a wheelchair who's been invited to a community gathering, right? It's a community outside gathering. And then all of a sudden it starts raining. And so the host gives everybody a choice. Some people can go into the game room and some people can go into a chill out room, okay? But everybody has a choice, but the people in the wheelchair are rolled into the chill out room because somebody made the assumption that everyone in the wheelchair prefers to go to the chill out room. But suppose somebody wanted to play a game, you know? And so these people, the guests in the wheelchair may feel a loss of autonomy, or they may feel bullied due to someone pushing them around, so to speak, or they may feel excluded from the fun. So that's just an example. And so this brings us to managing social pain. So the biopsychosocial perspective is an accepted approach to comprehensively understand the complexities of social emotional components and how our identities are entangled in the process. So it considers temperament, it considers medications, psychological factors, environmental situations, abilities and disabilities, mental situation, identities, and culture. And it involves using interventions and or activities that invite the uniqueness of one's community and allow space to explore identities, the related fears and mindsets and assumptions. And cultural competence of the professional also plays an important part here. This treatment or the biopsychosocial perspective is tailored to the specific needs of the whole self. And this helps to accomplish the goal of maintaining or restoring one's quality of life or optimal functioning to accomplish everyday goals. And the reason why I'm saying this or sharing this with you is because I want you to consider your entire self when healing from social pain. So that's very important. Okay. So now it's time to move on to some self-care and healing tools. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it's already 2:15. Let's see here.
Pam, I think we can do the meditation, maybe shorten meditation, and then we can do the continued self-care and close with the last part.
Okay. All right, so we'll do a shortened meditation. Okay, so in the meditation, okay, it's designed for us to go into our happy place and hope to come back with some jewels of advice from an ancestor, our higher self, role models such as a teacher or maybe a coach or someone of faith, okay? It could be advice such as choose your battles carefully, or maybe something in nature, like a tree that inspires you to root yourself in a strong foundation. So I'm just going to do a shortened version of the meditation, and then we'll go into the continuing self-care. So just get yourself situated and relax. Like find a comfortable seat or a comfortable position. All right. So if you are sitting, make sure that your back is straight. Now take 3 deep breaths. According to your comfort. And just notice your environment and just feel the space and feel that energy. Okay. And you can close your eyes or you can keep them open if you like, whatever you feel comfortable with. All right, so you're appreciating the space for what it is. Maybe you notice that your room is cooler than you like. If it is, your response is, so my room is cooler than I like. And if your room is just the right temperature, so it's just the right temperature. But have no attachment either way, no judgment, just be, all right? Just be, and try to focus on your breathing. And watch your breath, inhale and exhale, and even give a color to your breath, your favorite color. And watch it inhale and exhale. Just focus on your breathing. Now imagine each breath taking you closer and closer to a place you can call your happy place. And with each breath, you're getting closer and closer until you find yourself there, right? You're in your happy place. What does it look like there? Okay. What fragrances do you smell? What sounds do you hear? Are you there alone? If so, is there a breeze that you connect to? Or maybe a rock that signifies something to you, or any other object that you connect to? All right, and what might those things be saying to you? Maybe you're there with an ancestor, a role model, a teacher, or a spiritual guide that has something to share with you that you can use in your social situation or struggle with identity. Okay, so what is being imparted to you? What advice, what inspiration is there for you? And feel the love and support as you're receiving this information. Inspiration. Okay, so acknowledge what's been given to you. Be grateful and thankful, and prepare to say so long. And take 3 deep breaths according to your comfort. And with each breath, imagine yourself getting closer and closer to our workshop space until you find yourself right back here in your room. Okay, great. I will ask, we don't have time, but I would have loved for everybody to share, or a few people to share their experiences. Okay, so what I intended to do was for everybody to bring back this particular jewel of inspiration, and then we were going to go into an exercise that gives you the opportunity to use that jewel of inspiration from the meditation to speak to an identity that you were struggling with, or to speak to a social situation. Okay. But we're going to move on to the continuing self-care. All right, because I know most likely there were a lot of things that you still wanted to add to your mask. So these things will help you continue when the session is over. So you might want to add a strength. It could be a new personal agency, advice or motto, or statement to your mask, whatever you like or is appropriate for you. You're in your creative way, highlight something or add something that you need to work on. And if it helps, you might want to keep your mask in a place that reminds you of your experiences today, your new personal agencies, what inspirations you had. Maybe you have a new perspective or a new revelation. Next, create a celebrative dance or model for yourself. There's so much energy in your mask to be expressed. Create a ritual to do daily or often to remind you of what you want to continue to celebrate or be reminded of. A related affirmation or something like that, maybe a dance, or read a poem that was inspired by your mask. Maybe even draw, paint, or paint a picture, or write a poem to assist you in experiencing your identity or what your self-identity and social identities are experiencing. And you can always revisit your mask and what it signifies for you. And understand that your identities can be fluid. So in revisiting, you might notice some changes, you know, maybe a change in a sexual orientation or in your culture and your age. Our age is always fluid, it's always changing. Journal your experiences with your mask. Maybe every now and then you may want to explore a situation with your mask. Write it down or create a new mask if you're inspired to do so. And surround your mask in love and let that part of you just rest in love or whatever it is that it needs to be surrounded by. And something that I want to add, you can add the jewels that you received or the jewels of inspiration that you received in your meditation. Like maybe you can add it as a necklace or add it as a barrette in your hair or an earring or something like that. Okay. And one more thing about it is, as creative as your mask may be, remember that it's not a piece of artwork for others to admire, unless you want it to be. This mask is more about a personal growth. So unless you choose for it not to be. So therefore, you should keep it in a private place for your personal review and enjoyment. Otherwise, if kept in a place where others can see it, your private personal growth mask will become a piece for others to scrutinize and give their opinions of what they think it is or what they think it should be. And if you want to share with somebody who will listen to you and, you know, have your best interests in mind. So, I know that it was a lot, and I really wish we had the chance to do the exercises at the end. So for closure, we have a affirmation, which is really just to fill in the blank. And so this self-affirmation is, I am blank and I belong. So like for myself, I might say, let's see, I'm still growing and I belong. So if anyone would like to do a self-affirmation to fill in the blank, just raise your hand. Okay. I don't see
And we have
anyone.
some being shared in the chat as well.
Oh, okay. Great. So I don't know if they would like us to read them or they're just sharing it in the chat. Okay. So we have like a few more minutes. Oh, okay. So I am community and I belong. Very cool. I am awesome and I belong. Nice. I am me and I belong. Let's see if I'm missing. I am evolving and I belong. Very nice. I am awesome and I belong. I hope I pronounced this name right, so forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. I am Kalis's mom and I belong. I love these. I am light and I belong. Very nice. Very nice. So do we have time for questions, Heidi? Or is
We do.
that?
We are right at 2:30, but we can take a couple extra minutes if anyone has additional questions. I will put our follow-up survey in the chat, but feel free to take some questions while I do that.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Any questions at all? Okay. So, but I hope that you really receive something that you can use from what I've said with your with who you are inside, your social identities and your social roles. I hope you receive something that you can use to really explore and dig deeper and use for personal growth. And I really hope that you continue using your mask, because that is a tool for personal growth. And if you have any questions after the session, Heidi will give you, my email address and whatever, and we can communicate.
And we do have a question in the chat. How would you suggest we take this into the workplace?
So take your own struggles with identity in the workplace.
Let's see. Salvador, feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to expand on your question.
Sorry, that's my nephew who had his name Salvador on my Zoom.
Hi, Maria.
Change the voice. So my question was regarding, I'm actually going into my thesis right now, and part of healing, part of taking this course was because I wanted to gain some insight on self-identity and activities to do and bring that into the workplace. I feel that there's conflict arises from misunderstanding. And so therefore, how can we begin to understand others? And I think having this tool of self-identifying and that just what we just went through, it really connected that with me. And I just want to explore a little bit more about how to bring that into the workplace and help maybe recover some conflict through self-identifying and healing like this. So what would you suggest maybe as like a few first steps, if that made any sense?
Mm-hmm. So the first steps would be actually getting everybody's buy-in to want to understand each other and to want to have a healthy community inside the workplace. So maybe you can use the mask to first say things that invite or welcome people into this space where everybody will listen. So maybe on the mask, you can give yourself, you can either put your name on the mask or give yourself and identity like hopeful. Like I am hopeful, and I would like for us to, and I welcome a conversation, or I'm welcoming to this conversation, or I am inspired and I, let's see, I have something, oh, I am inspired and I'm open to listening, you know? So just step by step. So maybe you can have masks with those names and start off that way. And then once you get there, just go, you know, a little deeper and a little deeper. Just to create a space where everybody will listen and put their identity down, or one identity at a time, or start with, or maybe you can start with the particular roles inside the workplace. So it really depends on where the conflicts with identity are, because maybe if certain departments or certain roles are being disrespected, maybe you can say like, I am the director and I am this, or I am that, or I am that. And in this space where everybody's there to connect, just pass around the paper plates or the mask and let everybody read it. Don't say anything, don't judge it, just have everybody read it. And then go from there. So unless I know the group specifically, it's kind of really hard to say in detail.
Right. Well, this was very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Pam, I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I know we're a little past 2:30. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. This was an incredible session. Pam, thank you so much for giving your time today. There is more information about upcoming Hope sessions at the UCLA Arts and Healing website. And we would be grateful again if you would complete that survey. As I mentioned, we will be also setting up a follow-up email that has the handout as well as that survey link. So again, thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, have a great weekend.